Hello and welcome back to the channel once again. My name is Hollow and today I'm talking about New World, Amazon's upcoming MMORPG that we've actually talked about in the past. To say the least, I was pretty excited and interested by a new MMO, one that's supported by such a large source of funding, one that's directly inspired by Dark Souls for its combat, with many different progression systems, and also, hey, it's launching in the West to begin with, unlike every MMO we have to wait for that's in Japan or Korea these days. Then after I saw some official gameplay trailers and different gameplay showcases like the ones from IGN, I found myself rather worried about this upcoming game. It looked like it was missing the mark, and apparently I wasn't the only person who felt this, because the reactions to some of these showcases or trailers were not that good. The Reddit for the game has been not the most positive place either. My hopes and hype for New World has faded a little bit after this, and I stopped following the game so closely in the hopes that maybe I'd look at it again before the launch in August and see something that made me hopeful again. I have hope and interest for the game again after I did exactly that. And what's really interesting is that the hope came from raw gameplay footage and dev interviews and not from the official PR or marketing like what we saw with IGN or those official trailers. So what's going on with this game? It has a lot of potential, a massive source for funding, a really cool setup and unique mechanics going on, and yet there's almost no marketing, and what we have been shown made the game look bad. So let's talk about New World and if maybe you should be excited for this upcoming MMO. Both launch and beta have been delayed already, demonstrating that they need more time to launch the game in an acceptable state, and I'm always happy to hear that. It's better to get a finished game than an unfinished game too early, which is really important considering the only other major game to launch from Amazon Games was Crucible. Another game with great concepts, all that funding, and yet clearly launched before it was ready in an alpha-like state. So bad, in fact, that the player base dropped to below 200 concurrent players on Steam, and it's going back into closed-off development now, back into a closed beta. And just like Crucible, New World is still under NDA, coming up right before release. The players actively playing cannot show us what it's actually like, so we're just left looking at the IGN stuff, the trailers, the dev diaries, what they want to show us. So let's look at some of that. I think the most offensive trailer to players was the Combat Unleashed trailer, the most recent gameplay trailer, which showed off the game in the best possible light you would assume. Now visually, it looked pretty good. The environment, the character models, the special effects look good too, but the intent of this trailer is specifically about the combat, to make it look inviting and exciting. But let's be honest, it falls flat. The weight of the combat just comes across pretty weak to me. It's almost like the hits aren't connecting properly. They're just swinging around next to each other. This is really important to action-based combat games. Needs to feel like you're colliding with something when you hit, you know, that weight. Generally, the trailer was received very poorly from the comments, the dislikes, and the people following the game on Reddit. Some of the more visceral reactions said the game looks like complete trash, which I think is a bit overly harsh, but there's definitely something stiff and off about the game from that trailer. Meanwhile, players who have actually played the game have been saying time and time again on that Reddit that the game is solid and they're really enjoying it, that the devs have actually been listening to their feedback and player opinion during those closed alphas, and they've already made big changes that align with what the players have been asking for. So directly from players who have actually been playing in these alphas, they've got faith in the dev team to do a good job, which is the complete opposite to public opinion. Now, because the game is under NDA and the game's launching in August, we're very close to that, it feels very similar, very concerningly similar to the way Crucible was handled. And I'm obviously really happy to hear that players who've actually been playing the game do like it and support the devs in the changes they've made so far. But for us on the outside, it feels very suspect. Now let's look at the dev diaries and the information from interviews to learn more about the game and how it will work. So since I last covered the game, we've had a War and Invasion dev diary. We know that the world is going to be divided into territories, and those territories are going to be controlled by players in their guilds, which are known as companies. Now, when a company controls a territory, other companies can declare war on them, setting up a 50 versus 50 battle for that land and all other stuff that comes with that. In this case, the defending company will choose a siege window, which is a time frame in which the battle is going to actually occur. The attacking company will then attempt to use siege weapons to break down the gates and capture that base, while the defenders will have their own arsenal of weapons to help defend it. We do see examples of the Warhorn that buffs the allies in the area, the cannons or ballista to do some damage with. But like I said, these wars will begin at defined times and then run for around 60 minutes max, unless one side crushes the other during the fight. If the attackers do manage to breach the walls, they will then attempt to capture the zone or flag in the center of the fort to claim it and win. On the other hand, we also have invasions that threaten companies and their hold over the territory, a PvE version of that war mode. This functions more like a wave-based survival rather than a control the zone mode though. In the area controlled by the company, things known as corrupted breaches will slowly form around the area, and then they will escalate in strength over time. So if they're not managed well, they will eventually top out in power and then begin attacking the fort. Eventually, this results in hundreds and hundreds of the corrupted attacking and swarming the walls in massive waves. Lots of run-of-the-mill basic corrupted, but also massive bosses are going to appear too. It's meant to be a difficult challenge. These invasions will require large-scale teamwork to hold out against, with big rewards on the other side if you do survive. So not only do you keep hold of the territory if you survive, but you receive various loot, currency, and rep for your efforts too. It's very worth it to let these breaches escalate and prep yourself for an intentional invasion in this case, as long as you know you're ready to deal with what's coming. It's a cool way to sort of intentionally take on massive PvE battles for your base, or manage your territory over time to prevent something like this happening when you're not quite ready. And on top, it also functions as a good way to remove less used forts by smaller companies, or even a company that stopped playing or something. So some solid information there. I really like the sound of the invasions. Now let's talk about the crafting and progressions dev diary. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the progression system sounds solid to me, and we have 5 different kinds to look at. Firstly, we have leveling as your standard form of progression, where you're increasing your base power by increasing your overall level. As you level up, you earn attribute points, and then you can put those points into strength, dex, intelligence, focus, or constitution. Then we have the weapon mastery system to go alongside this, where you're increasing your skill with specific weapons you're using at the time. And the more time you spend using a specific weapon, the better you get with it. As you're leveling up that weapon, you unlock points, and you spend those points on the respective weapon trees for different passive improvements or directly unlocking new abilities. Then we have trade skills, also known as professions like you'd expect in any MMO, and these are shown as gathering herbs, crafting gear with blacksmithing. Once again, as you'd expect, you spend more time working on it, the better you get at it. For the 4th progression type, we have territory standing, where you complete tasks and spend time in specific territories, assumedly the one you and your company own. And in doing so, you'll unlock perks that give you benefit while playing in the territory. We did see 4 different kinds here, where we can passively increase the speed at which we gain territory standing, we can decrease the trading tax rates, increase the speed at which you gather while you're in that territory, or even work towards house ownership at the highest level, which is very interesting. And finally, for that 5th and last kind of progression, we have the faction system. At level 10, you'll choose between 3 main factions that we'll find in the game, which is very important to the story, and also unlocking faction missions to increase your faction rep. With faction rep, you unlock more weapons, armor, other perks and items linked to that faction, obviously fitting with their aesthetic, which is very cool, kind of like the quartermaster system in World of Warcraft. So that's 5 progression systems, but we also have crafting as a 6th, and with that, you may guess this, right? But the more you do it, the better you get at it. With crafting, we'll craft different equipment like melee weapons, shields, or gathering tools too, and then as we progress, we'll be able to upgrade or craft higher quality gear. But most interesting is the modification of gear, where we can gem for special bonuses like fire elemental effects shown in this example. To craft this stuff, you'll need materials from the world, and naturally, the better the gear, the more powerful the mods, the higher quality and rarer materials are going to be required. These unique resources are gatherable by high level gatherers, so this encourages players to pick a specific profession system instead of maybe all 5 at once, and then really focus on it, becoming a valued member to the company for their skill specifically, giving you a chance to maximize your progression as a group, as a guild. Though obviously with enough time spent, you'll reach high level with everything eventually. But at launch, having a set profession that you work on and everyone agrees that's your role is probably a good idea. However, the trade skills feature endless progression, letting you level forever, which is kind of Black Desert Online style in the way that it's described. Now, some types of players will probably really enjoy this. Endlessly grinding something no lifestyle, staying on top of that skill forever over everyone, instead of having it cap out eventually. And this has been seen more often, like I say with BDO, in Eastern style games. Now here in the West, this is much rarer, and personally, I'm glad it's rarer. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you like endless grind systems? I mean, it does give you something to be working on permanently as a hardcore player, but I guess I'm just kind of past this style of play. It's really not for me. Finally, for official marketing, we also saw a video from IGN that showcased the war mode in action, like live gameplay. And to say the least, this video was poorly edited, where they would swap the cameras constantly for no reason, like jumping away from what you want to look at to someone else. Whoever was in charge of the editing has no idea what players want to see in a video game showcase. And then the players obviously had a very poor understanding of the game and how to play it. It was very fake and forced, which once again soured the public opinion when it comes to the combat of New World. So from all of that, I felt so unsure about the game again. I really like the idea of the many progression systems, the hybrid style of combat with the weapons and swapping between them, the companies, the territories, the story and world both sound good too. But then we've got wet noodle combat, infinite progression, which I'm not all about, and also that PvP with the IGN video, which just looked kind of scuffed. So I was kind of conflicted, and that was what this video was going to be, talking about my conflicted feelings about this game. So while I was scouring all of this, I by chance found a video that was recommended on the Reddit. Actual gameplay, just showing what the game is genuinely like. It was on the channel Mine MMO, a German YouTube channel, who were able to release some sort of exclusive look at real gameplay. Somehow, they were given permission to post some of the game despite NDA being held over most people. And what was beautiful about this video is that there wasn't any of that forced fake enjoyment with the IGN stuff or the overly dramatic trailer stuff. It was just genuine gameplay to show how the game actually feels and runs. The hits had weight, the visuals were crisp and clear, the elemental effects looked really good too, the world overall with the different areas we looked at was pretty vibrant and colourful. Everything about the gameplay surprised me. From what I've seen from the official showings, I just don't understand how someone just playing the game can make me more excited and interested in the game than the official trailers. And with that in mind, it's honestly incredible how bad the marketing has been for New World so far when I think about this. From this gameplay, we see various aspects of the combat fighting the corrupted, and a good look at those company-owned forts as well, what it's like to move around in those and everything going in there. We see some crafting and smaller aspects of the game like inventory, emotes, and even a sort of mini boss fight. It was a really good look at a bunch of different environments, playing as a team, and even how the combos with weapons are going to work too. Just out of nowhere, I watched a short gameplay video and I'm excited again. So why is it that professional PR and professional marketing leaves me uncertain and worried about the game, and then raw gameplay makes me excited? What the hell is going on with Amazon Games and their marketing? Crucible had almost nothing. They cancelled Breakaway, that brawler game they were working on, and now New World with its wet noodle marketing yet again. Closed beta launches super soon, July 23rd, which is a month before the release in August, so we're not going to have to wait long before we get a real look at the gameplay, which obviously I assume won't be under NDA. So maybe finally we'll get some real answers. And at this time, I'm so confused. I'm skeptical. I'm not that hyped, but I'm curious and interested, and I'm definitely going to give it a try for better or worse and then form my own opinion. What do you think about this game from what we know? I think anyone who doesn't have money to just throw away at any game they feel like they might enjoy based on what Crucible had and the uncertain nature of what this game is going to be like, I would say if you're not sure, don't buy the game. Wait and see. Watch gameplay from streams or videos. Learn more before you buy. It's fair to not have trust in New World. And since I'll be playing, you can obviously look out for a video from me on my thoughts about New World after I've played it via a should you play most likely. For now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you guys next time.